All right, here's an interesting stat for you. According to Statista, there are over 223 million social network users in the United States, which is equivalent, if you do the quick math, about three quarters of the country's population. Wow. All right, so hackers are always looking for ways to breach in there. In this next segment, Andreas talks with an expert on what you need to know.
With the switch to our new virtual lives, you may have a little extra time on social media. Today, we're joined by Quentin Rhodes Herrera, Director of Professional Services at Critical Start, to share tips for keeping ourselves safe on social media. Hi, Quentin.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. And I think it's safe to say that most Americans use at least one platform on social media to keep themselves connected, especially in a world where we're all trying hard to stay connected to those that we would normally be having some summer fun with. So tell us about the ways that we can identify social media hackings.
So for the most part, hackers will gain access to accounts by either brute forcing or guessing someone's password, or trying to trick them using emails, texting, in order to trick them into giving their password up to the attacker. From that moment, they usually take over the account and either use it for malicious purposes like scamming, or they will sell it on the darknet. Most of those attack techniques at least, will alert the end user that, hey, your password has been changed, somebody's trying to gain access to your account, somebody requested a password reset. There's numerous ways these social media platforms will actually send an alert out to the owner of the account that something has changed or something is trying to be changed on their account.
Do you find that there are also ways that even before we get those messages that we might be able to identify, hey, something's not right about this?
If we look at the last Twitter hack that actually occurred, the owners of those accounts could have noticed that there were messages being posted on their account that they didn't initiate themselves, or nobody with access to those accounts initiated. That would be a good way of knowing that something has occurred and somebody has gained access to your account. But for the most part, most of these social media platforms really rely on the authentication mechanism, right, to gain access into someone's account. So most of the time, the attackers rely on either gaining access to somebody's password or gaining access to somebody's computer where that account is logged in on. Either way, either somebody's posting on your behalf that you didn't initiate, or you get alerts that something has changed in your profile.
And when it comes to these hackings, there are ways that we can prevent them. So what should we be doing as users to make sure that we're trying to eliminate this wherever possible?
Since the most common attack technique is gaining access to somebody's account through a password, the strongest way of preventing this is using a complex password, something that isn't easily guessable, something that is preferably randomly generated. However, we're all people and we forget our own passwords. So in addition to that, you can use multi-factor authentication. It's something that Google provides support for. Many other providers have some type of two-factor authentication. This way, if an attacker does guess your password or they trick you into providing your password out, they would also need your two-factor application that's either on your phone or maybe a physical two-factor, like something called a YubiKey. That way, if they try to log in, they will be prompted for that second authentication form, and they wouldn't have ready access to that.
Should we be changing our methods for managing our social media platforms based on the platform? So, for example, is the way that you stay safe on Twitter different than the way that you stay safe on Instagram, different than Facebook, different than Snapchat or others?
I don't believe so. Since all of these rely on you logging in, similar to your bank, similar to your email, really what we need to do as individuals who are accessing these sites is we need to make sure that our passwords strength is of high quality and we're using some second form of authentication. That way, if, like I said, somebody does gain access to your password, they would need physical access to your phone or to some other device that contains that second form of authentication. It just adds a level of security. And since all of these social media platforms all support the same type of authentication mechanisms, they can all be reused across.
Fantastic. Well, certainly something that we all need to be thinking about, especially right now. It's a good opportunity to go change your passwords, try to make them even more secure than they might be. Of course, making sure that your passwords for all your different platforms are different and not variations of the same thing over and over again, which I know is easier for us to remember, but also easier for other people to hack. Any last comments or suggestions you have for us?
Sure. So passwords are something we usually create that's easy for us to remember. So there are things out there similar to like LastPass or KeePass that will randomly generate passwords for you and store them locally on your machine, as well as through LastPass uses cloud computing. This is just an added way for you to randomly generate passwords that are different per platform, as well as you not having to remember all of these, which just adds complexity to it, making it harder for attackers to guess or brute force.
Well, thank you so much for keeping us thinking, keeping us safe on social media. It's so important right now, especially as we manage our families and our children who are going to be spending more time by the computer each and every day. We so appreciate you being with us.
No worries. Thank you.
For those of you who are looking to be even more safe on the internet, we encourage you to visit our website for additional information at